Yeah. Wake up with coffee and sports. Sunrise glow, listen coast to coast. A flow like you know.
Offensively, who made them? Oh, Patrick Mahomes.
Sideline to sideline with plays to show. This network's got the spark.
When you put up 300 yards rushing against someone, that you got your butt whooped.
I feel like I would have liked to see Oregon, Ohio State in the semis, not the quarters. So I think some reseeding is probably where I would change. But
they're out of their mind. They're going to do this 3 quarterbacks in a row.
Here's the crazy.
I just can't take it.
Birds keep flying high, fans cheering loud, and one podcast moving through the crowd. Meaty Boyz brawling, no holds barred bout. This wire life never in doubt. Tune into the vibe.
That's my bold prediction for the show. Devin Booker in the next 3 years, he will be a Houston Rocket.
Because I still think Seth is still at the top of his game. I do. I think he's right there. Who knows? Maybe not this year, but one time soon. Why wouldn't we potentially see Seth and Roman? One more, you know what I mean?
Tune in the vibe.
Guard on the mic tonight. News coming in left and right. Oh, better with the latest fight. Gene's got that insight tight. Champions rise and they fall. Wire to wire, got it all. Every move and every brawl. Tune in for the curtain call. Wrestling talk all night long. Catch the latest match and song. Ring the bell, let's get it on. Every story bright and strong. In the ring they clash and roar. New rivalries and so much more. Titles change and legends roar.
Hey, what's poppin', y'all? It is your boy, Guard E3, and welcome back to the Meaty Boyz Podcast. And of course, like every week, I am joined by the limousine riding, jet flying, wheel and dealing son of a gun. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Mo Better.
It's Tuesday, guys, so you know what it is. It's Meaty Boyz. You know what it means when it's the Meaty Boyz. We are talking wrestling. Let's get it.
No, absolutely. And, why don't we start with almost like the unfortunate news, because, you never like seeing people lose their job, but, kind of got to go over it. WWE did have some releases. And so did AEW. So the list of WWE superstars that got released, Authors of Pain and Paul Ellering, Cedric Alexander, Blair Davenport, we got Duke Hudson, Sonya Deville, Vinci, Isla Dawn, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, and Elektra Lopez. So first off, I hope everybody who got released, lands on their feet. And from the AEW side, we've learned that either release or the contract ran out. Ricky Starks, Aleister Black, and Miro, formerly known as Rusev in WWE. So I'm curious, Mo, mainly from kind of because we've seen two of these three guys in WWE, and Ricky Starks we've never seen at the stature he is in a WWE ring. Do you think WWE should go after any of Miro, Aleister Black, or Ricky Starks?
I could see them going after a couple of those guys for sure. I don't know if they would add them directly to the main roster, but I definitely could see them pursuing them because they are talented performers. It's funny because I was thinking the same thing with AEW. I thought they might bring Cedric Alexander to AEW because obviously he's worked with Lashley, he's worked with Sheldon, he's been part of that crew. I could see them bringing him back into the fold.
Yeah, I think for sure. I think WWE will definitely end up bringing Ricky Starks in and Black. I think Miro's more of a wild card, but I think that they should definitely bring him in too if he's interested. There's just so much content that needs to be filled when it comes to wrestling.
Agree.
And I think all three of those guys can add a different dimension, even if you bring in some of these guys just for like NXT. Now, that being said, I want to say this for WWE and AEW. Let's not sign free agents you don't have a plan for. Too often we've kind of seen, the signings where it's, oh, I signed this guy because now the competitors can't get him, and then they just sit in catering for months. Like, I was going to say this just about AEW because they're notorious for doing this, but I'll say this for WWE as well. Don't just sign anybody without a plan. Let's make sure that there's a great, we have a vision for these guys, and then just follow up and execute.
I agree. Look at Ricochet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. They clearly had an idea of what they wanted to do with Ricochet, and he's been thriving. He's been doing actually a lot better than I expected. Him coming in as a good guy hasn't been working, and he's embraced it. He's becoming this annoying heel that's actually working out very well for him. So I'll give him credit for kind of realizing right away they don't want the goody two-shoes and just pivoted. So I think another interesting point, though, when we're talking about some wrestling here, we have a couple of big-time performers, Mo, that don't have WrestleMania matches. And I'm curious on what direction you'd want to see from them, right? Now, the one that I'm more so curious about, because we know Rhea will get her match, and I'm curious on who you think will face Rhea. But I'm more curious, Mo. I want to start off with Drew McIntyre. What do you think happens with him? Because he's in an interesting spot where I don't think he wins the Elimination Chamber. I think he's probably like the third or fourth option to win the Elimination Chamber. There's been rumors swirling from everybody ranging. We've heard, it's going to be Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest. Then it's going to be Drew McIntyre versus LA Knight. He's going to be added to the world title match at WrestleMania. If you, in your opinion, and I'm guessing it won't be LA Knight, who would you have Drew McIntyre face at WrestleMania?
First of all, that's kind of funny because I actually wouldn't mind seeing Drew McIntyre against LA Knight because I don't think LA Knight would win, which is always good for me. That brings me great joy. Drew is in a really unique situation because he is a main event talent. I think he's a main event character and performer, but he's not really going to be part of the bigger matches. That doesn't mean he can't have a great WrestleMania match. And if I want him to have a great WrestleMania match, look, there's more than enough time to build a story for him to have a match with us. It probably won't be LA Knight because I don't see that connection. But there are a lot of other guys you can pair with Drew McIntyre. Look, AJ just came back. AJ Styles is a terrific performer. Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles, I'd watch that. I'd be there for that. I just think that I don't want Drew McIntyre to fade to black because you pointed it out. Whether it's a free agent or it's a current star on your roster, have a plan for them, have a storyline for them, and enact that storyline. I'm not sure what they want to do with Drew because it wasn't too long ago. It was Drew was hunting every member of the bloodline, but that seemed to fade a little bit when he lost to Jay on the opening night on Netflix. And obviously Jay's getting a big push, so he's not going to be beating Jay Uso. So I'm kind of interested in where Drew goes. Or is it one of those things where they do set it up to where maybe Drew cost Jay Uso the title? it looks like it's set up for Drew or Jay to take the belt off Gunther's hand because let's be honest, we both agree Gunther's a great performer, but they haven't done a lot with his run. They haven't done a much with him. I was talking to, I think, Gene the other day, and I said, when you have a talent like that and he gets over and he's having his run, you got to give him a rival. You got to give him a guy to where they push each other and they have a series of great all-time matches. They never did that with him. They put him up against Damian Priest multiple times. They weren't bad matches, but I don't think they were the kind of matches that give you a lot of buzz either.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's when it was almost the opposite of his Intercontinental title reign. The Intercontinental title reign, I think it was the greatest Intercontinental title reign in WWE history. And now he gets the world title, everybody's like hyped, and then it's just meh. And I really hope that him and Jay knock it out of the park. I think they're going to have a great match, and yeah, I think it's definitely Jay. I think Jay ends up, I think he almost has to take the title off Gunther. If Jay loses at WrestleMania, I don't know if you can ever call him main event Jey Uso again. If he loses another main event big match, just at that point, his main event window might be closed for a long time.
You know what? Chris put something out on the morning show. I want to see if you kind of agree with the comp. He said, "Is Jey Uso being positioned to be becoming a modern day Jeff Hardy?" If you think about where Jeff Hardy started, where he came from, what he did, obviously with his brother as tag team, and then Jeff got elevated to being a single star, and went on to become champion. And I thought, yeah, I could see Jay coming down that same path because Jay's just as charismatic. Jay has a great rapport with the fans. I can see Jey Uso being one of those fighting champions that maybe when he defends, if and when he wins the belt, he won't be one of those dominant champions where he just runs through everybody, Brett, but he just finds the way to win, right? It won't always be pretty, but he finds the way to survive. He'll be that fighting champion like back in the day with Bob Backlund, or back in the day with Bret Hart, where it wasn't always pretty, but it was always entertaining.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comparison. And honestly, I think if anybody kind of tries to argue that, it almost feels like that's kind of nostalgia blinding them. Because I think the comparison is there for him being almost as arguably as popular as even Jeff Hardy in his peak. And if people don't remember, peak Jeff Hardy was outselling John Cena in Merchant times, which is an insane accomplishment. But Jey Uso's getting the loudest reaction and has almost been for a while now, which is absolutely wild. You're telling me that we've had things happen last year, right? Like The Rock coming back and all these main event guys, but none of them can get as loud of a reaction as Jey Uso. It's absolutely wild. And yeah, I agree with that take from Chris. I think that's a great take. And for anybody, and I think that a lot of people too, when it comes to Jey Uso as well, I've seen a lot of complaints that, he doesn't deserve it. They're just putting him over because of a catchphrase. They didn't really build on this. This is a story that's almost been building for the last 5 years, just the growth and development of Jey Uso, going from a tag team specialist to main eventing matches with Roman Reigns. And you just seen the fans just organically get behind this guy slowly but surely over the last 5 years. And all it took was a little tweak in character presentation for them to go absolutely nuts for him. So I'm super happy for Jey Uso. And
yeah, I'm excited.
I think his main event moments, his Mania moment's going to be the best moment of the year, arguably.
And look, you and I both know whether Jay wins or not. What if you put him and Gunther in a match, I think they're going to kill it. I think it's going to be a great match. It easily has a shot to be match of the night.
Yeah, It's funny. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great. At least that's a rematch. I think has the possibility with another 10 weeks of build plus the
Yeah.
match to be in. It could very well go down as either a fantastic match or I think there's a fringe chance. I'm not saying it's a high chance because it takes you to have it takes two to MVP caliber performers to do this, but they could very well have an all-timer at WrestleMania. That's a high bar. And I'm not going to say that it will happen, but I think it's a higher possibility than people think. Now, at least that rematch I can get behind again. Mo, I can't get behind what happened at the ending of SmackDown. There's one way I can get behind it. Speaking of rematches, there's one of the things I was looking forward to at WrestleMania season was fresh new matchups. Jey Uso versus Gunther, at first I was like, we're doing this again, but I can get myself behind that. But, another reason it's like, okay, cool, I can get a new rivalry for Cody. We went from the Bloodline to KO.
Right.
And I'm like, cool, we can go from KO to whoever his WrestleMania opponent is, or even I figured there might be a title match at the Chamber. I'm thinking like, cool, you can even throw in like a young stud, a rookie, or just throw in a guy who's a really good performer that's going to have a really great match with them. Like, even Cody versus someone like Andrade would be perfectly suitable for a throwaway match at the Chamber. And I would have been fine with it. But here comes Solo Sikoa to make his return. And I'm guessing we are going to get Cody versus Solo the third in a match that nobody asked for. Like, the first two matches weren't exactly barn burners. The second match especially didn't leave me wanting a third match. Now, I will say, and I don't know how you feel about Cody Solo the third, but I think the only way that this is worth it is if after Cody beats Solo a third time, we finally get the turn we've been waiting for. Jacob Fatu, instead of saying, I love you, Solo, goes, I loved you, Solo, and then just completely obliterates him.
Right. Right.
If that happens, okay, I can sell myself on this, but if that doesn't happen and I'm just getting a third Cody and Solo match, Mo, I'm going to be so mad.
I think you just sold me on the potential of why we're going to see this again. I have no idea what creative is thinking. I hope this is where they're going, that Jacob Fatu comes down to the ring at some point in the match. Maybe he tries to help Solo win, and Solo still manages to lose. And I think you're right. I think Fatu comes into the ring, and Solo thinks he's coming to help me, and he's actually coming in there to destroy him. And basically say, I'm taking over, right? I guess that's pretty much how they do it in that family. They somebody eventually beats somebody else down and they take over. Jacob Fatu is going to be a main eventer. He is. And he's going to wear gold at some point. I don't know if he's got to go through a process. I know he already did tag team gold once. He might do it again, but eventually he's going to be a singles champ. I don't care if it's the IC belt. He's going to be wearing gold. And eventually, he's going to be a world champion. I don't know if he's going to have a great run, but he's too dominant and unique a talent to hold back.
I think with Jacob Fatu, and I know some people would complain, oh, well, you're giving him a title too quick. Oh, no, this will be after a year. Let's do it at SummerSlam. I would almost push him in a similar way that you pushed a certain blacklisted Beast Incarnate from 2002, where because they already, they kind of already did last year, kind of reestablished, I think it was last year, but they gave the King of the Ring winner a title match, and I think you can do that again. Whoever wins King of the Ring gets a title match. Jacob Fatu wins King of the Ring, and you set him up for a world title match. You don't even need to do it at SummerSlam if you don't want to, but I think you make the match at SummerSlam. Jacob Fatu versus Jey Uso. And look at that. You bring this bloodline story very full circle with that, right? Jey Uso is the guy to, put over Fatu and propel him into main event status. Or you can even go the opposite way. You could go him versus Cody, but I think WWE Creative would not pass on, Fatu versus Jey Uso for the world title. So thinking like a WWE booker, yeah, give me Fatu versus Uso and just Fatu ends the title reign, because I already picked who I think should end Cody's title reign. I think it should be, I would let Drew McIntyre end it and give him a proper reign with the title, but that's just me.
You know what? So that's interesting, because I can see Fatu ending Jay's reign. I can see Drew ending Cody's reign. I can see Fatu eventually meeting Drew at a pay-per-view with both belts on the line.
I think that would be interesting, and I think the wild card here is, I've accidentally started turning this into a prediction show, but all right. Because also, of course, the factor in all this is maybe I'm wrong, because there's also Money in the Bank.
Yes.
And by the way, I do have who I think should win, at least my early betting favorite. I think that should be Carmelo Hayes. I think he's the perfect talent to use Money in the Bank to elevate. Fantastic character, fantastic in-ring worker. I think he's the whole package.
I think he's perfect for Money in the Bank. The only drawback on him is it's not a drawback on him. Actually, I take that back. The only guy who I think is better, might be better fit, and because he's a bigger, more established star, I could see CM Punk winning Money in the Bank.
I was thinking either. I like the idea of the long shot, the real young guy winning Money in the Bank. So if they're going that direction, I would almost go either Carmelo or the real long shot, which is give me a Montez Ford Money in the Bank win to start his singles push.
It is time. Let's all agree on this. It is time that Montez Ford get this singles push. I'm not saying the Street Profits aren't entertaining, but it doesn't feel like they're going to be wearing gold anytime soon. And I think I almost feel like the idea or the concept of the Street Profits is holding Montez Ford back.
Yeah, and it's funny because you can elevate Montez Ford, and I don't even think that, Angelo Dawkins needs to be, relegated. I think Angelo Dawkins, I don't think he has the main event potential like Montez Ford, but I think he's a guy who can, collect quite a few Intercontinental or United States title runs. I think he's a very good mid-card guy to have. I think he's very talented, and I think you can almost elevate. You can elevate Montez Ford to the moon. And I also think that Angelo Dawkins sticks around for a long while, just in the mid card. And I wouldn't break them up. I would almost do like what you did with the New Day, where they're together, but they're just not always going to be together, and they support each other. I think that would be more interesting than a feud between the two.
I like that idea better. I also think that in not breaking them up, but Dawkins supporting Ford. Sometimes Dawkins might be the difference between Ford winning or losing with a little interference. You know what I mean? With maybe a little outside interference. So I actually like that. And I agree. I think Dawkins can be a very good mid-card guy for the next 10 years or so. I could see him being an IC champ or a US champ. Maybe even them doing their own version of the New Day, bringing in another guy, and he and Dawkins win the tag team titles. Because I think Ford, once they give him that push, Brett, I think he's going to skyrocket. I think Montez Ford could be almost a modern day, and this is high praise. It's very high praise, because I don't know if he can do all the different character changes as this performer can do. But I think Ford has the potential to have that main event kind of talent, that main event status as Shawn Michaels had.
Say Montez Ford, I think he definitely has the potential to be a main eventer for a long time. And of course, another guy that would almost love to see it. And another guy I almost love to see win Money in the Bank. If you're going with an established star, I think a fun one would be Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens with the Money in the Bank briefcase would just be must-see TV, because no matter what gimmick you give that guy, he makes it work. And I can't imagine just how perfectly he would find that perfect balance of like dangerous and annoying, and it would be the greatest thing ever.
The beauty of the Kevin Owens selection, this is where I'm with you 100%. KO is not going to cash in Money in the Bank until he sees a match where everybody in it is obliterated. And then he's going to cash in, sprinting down, top speed, power bomb, and he's going to get the belt. He's going to be. I think KO. You're right. He's so great at embracing a certain pace of character, and I think you can love him or you can love to hate him. He's that guy.
Hey, what's up? What's up, Will? Hey, we're just talking about some potential Money in the Bank winners.
What up, Will?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's say, and it's so funny because there's some other guys. I almost feel like the Money in the Bank should be for guys that, probably could use the boost. I think there's some guys, they don't need the Money in the Bank to win the title. They're just that convincing. Like, I almost thought about saying someone like Braun Breaker, but I'm like, he could, but also, like, that man is just so, like, well-built and everything that I don't think you really need to give him the Money in the Bank to put the title on him. Like, have him run through people.
I'm kind of with you, partner. He can kind of get to that main event for the title the hard way. He's one of those guys. He can do it. Breaker doesn't need a boost.
No.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel like Chad Gable is relegated to mid card? Because I think Chad Gable has main event talent. His character's like a watered down version of Kurt Angle, which makes it kind of annoying. But I think he has incredible talent.
Yeah, I think he does too. He's a guy that you can put him in the Braun Breaker is definitely super over. Chad Gable's interesting because he can put on a good match with anybody, no matter the style. Like,
right.
He had one of the best matches in the month of January with Penta, but we've also seen him put on really good matches with, Uncle Howdy, Braun Strowman. It doesn't matter, and that's what's incredible about him. And he's got a character. I think he has some main event potential. I don't see him being like a permanent main eventer, but yeah, no, he's shown how entertaining he can be, and he really sells himself in storylines. Him versus Gunther was just absolute brilliant work by both men.
Yeah.
And I would love to see him, like, at least challenge for titles. I would love to see him get some legit, world title storylines.
He's a terrific talent. He's this weird cross between Angle and Bob Backlund. I'm wondering, since he's going to this luchador camp, right? That's where he's supposed to be going.
Yeah.
Is he coming back wearing the red, white, and blue, or is he going to come back with like a completely different look?
I feel like he's going to end up wearing the red, white, and blue. Or it's interesting with him because with him, you never know. He does switch up his character quite often, so he's one of those wild cards that you just truly never know. And
speaking of Finn, one more wild card. When you look at a guy like Finn Balor, what do you think Finn Balor's path in the WWE at this stage of his career is?
Mid-card guy putting other guys over. And that's not me saying that Finn Balor is not a main eventer, because he is. And WWE at one point clearly valued him as one. You don't give him a victory over Seth Rollins for the original Undisputed Champion or Universal Championship for nothing. But the reality is that was in 2018, 2017? We're talking about 8 years ago.
Right.
Finn's been a guy who can still put on a great match, but is starting to get hurt more often. He's getting banged up. I think he can be a great guy to, tag titles, Intercontinental title, maybe a one-off challenger for a world title. But I just don't know if you can trust Finn Balor's body to hold up for an actual world title run. I think he's one of those guys that world title talent, absolutely. But I don't think his body would agree, and that's kind of where the disconnect is for me.
That's fair.
And I'm curious, what do you think happens with Rhea? Because a lot of people were thinking that it's going to be Rhea and Io Sky at WrestleMania. But now that match has been announced for the Raw after the Elimination Chamber. Now, I think there's two options here. I think you have a one-on-one match with whoever wins the Chamber. Maybe it's Liv. I genuinely couldn't tell you who's going to win the Elimination Chamber. Or I think the third option is have the winner of the Chamber get involved, and you make it a triple threat match at Mania.
I like that. I like that idea.
Yeah, I was about to ask, would you like to see Io maybe involved in a triple threat match or just a one-on-one match? And if so, like, who in the Chamber would you want to see face Rhea at WrestleMania?
I love Io. I'm a huge Io fan, but I think that I'd rather see the one-on-one. I'd like to see a matchup of Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. I've been waiting for that. I want to see that. I've seen Rhea, and I've seen Rhea versus the Queen, and I'm sure I'll see that again at some point down the road. But I haven't seen Rhea go up against Bianca Belair. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see those two. I know it seems like it's one of those matches that creative knows is there, but they're trying to save it. I kind of disagree with that line of thinking because I think both of these women are at their peak. Don't waste their peaks. If you put those two electric performers in the ring, it doesn't mean you only have to do it once. Maybe they wrestle 3 times, and the chemistry and everything else is just there. I just think that would be an incredible matchup. But for some reason, I feel like creative is saving it.
I think that maybe saving it can be now. It's risky because you don't know what's going to happen health-wise or just people coming and going. My thing with Rhea versus Bianca is that match is so good and such high profile that if you do it, I want that to be the main event of one of the WrestleManias, last match on the card.
It should be. I agree.
Now, this WrestleMania, I don't think it happens. If they do run that match, I don't know if it happens. I think.
Let me ask you this: if they run that match, could it be dual main events?
Oh, absolutely. I think that when it comes to, it almost feels like there's one true main event, and you can have other main event caliber matches, and I think you can promote it as a dual main event. But everybody's going to consider the main event that last match on the card. And that's something that we saw, was one of CM Punk's frustrations when he left WWE is they'd promote his match as a special attraction or a dual main event, but he was never the last match on the card. I think if you're going to run this match, it's so good that I think it's got to be that true last match on the card main event.
Fair
but
enough.
they could run it as a dual main event. I wouldn't have an issue with it. But I don't have a problem with them maybe waiting till WrestleMania 42 to run this one. But like I said, you're running risks with injuries and a lot of other factors. So they can do it, but it's risky.
And I think that's where they're going. They're trying to project something down the road, which makes sense. Everything you said makes sense, and I agree with that. That should be the last match of the night. That match. I think because of the different storylines, because I do think at some point, I feel I'm right on this. I've said this before. I do think at some point that Bianca Belair will turn heel. I do. I think she'll turn heel. And I think she'll be tremendous as a heel. I do. I think she would be amazing as a heel. Maybe they hold off on that. Maybe the storyline and all the different matchups play out to where we get that, like you said, for WrestleMania 42. There are other great matches to be had. And you have to, at some point, Jade Cargill comes back into the picture. What are they going to do with her? So it's interesting.
I would almost use Rhea to put over somebody at WrestleMania, ironically. If you're not going to go with Bianca versus Rhea, and if you're not going to go Io versus Rhea, I would pull off maybe a stunner and just okay, maybe she doesn't win, but wouldn't it be such an incredible show of confidence if you had like Roxanne Perez win the chamber and go face Rhea at WrestleMania? That's a match where she doesn't even need to win and she gets a massive boost. I would almost consider doing something maybe a little crazy like that. Like, okay, we're going to give you an up-and-coming star. You wrestle them at Mania. Next year, you're going to get Bianca in one of the true main event slots.
I wouldn't be mad at that. I thought it's funny because you said Roxanne Perez. I thought you was going to say Roxanne Perez or Valkyria, but okay, I'm okay either way. And I get that getting a young talent and putting them over by winning the chamber, but not actually having to win the belt, but probably losing in a great match that would still elevate their status. I get all that, and that totally makes sense to me.
I think Lyra Valkyria should have a big match at WrestleMania. If I was writing the script for WWE Mo, it would be Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch for the IC title.
Wow.
I think that not only do you elevate Lyra, you want to make these titles feel like a big deal. So I'd give both the women's IC and US title not only a spot at WrestleMania, but I'd find the biggest name women possible and put them in these matches. And I think Becky versus Lyra would be absolutely fantastic.
I'm glad you said that. I like Becky versus Lyra. Who battles against Tiffy?
Say Tiffy. You know what? I think you do. You go Tiffy and Charlotte.
Oh, I like that.
You do Bailey versus Chelsea Green. And you know what? I think one of two things happens. A, you have a great visual of, because with all the original who used to be the 4 horsewomen of WWE, but now obviously Banks is gone. Mm-hmm. But you have the 3 remaining horsewomen all winning titles at the same event, which would be a great visual.
Right.
And you could also use it to build up suspense, right? Because imagine, okay, Becky beats Lyra, Bailey beats, Chelsea. Do you know how stunning at that point it would be if Tiffy actually retained against Charlotte? It's already an uphill battle, but if you painted the picture that, yeah, we're going to have all the horsewomen celebrated at WrestleMania 41, then had Tiffy pull up the upset, I think that would almost raise the profile of Tiffany, because I don't think anybody would see it coming at that point.
No, and the thing is, it would raise Tiff Stratus. It would raise Tiff to another level, but it wouldn't diminish Scarlett at all, or Charlotte at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If she lost because she's so big, I don't think it would diminish her, because somewhere down the line she's going to be in another main event. I can guarantee a lot of things. Charlotte Flair is going to wear one of the heavyweight championships again, right? You can book that somewhere down the line. She will be champion again.
Oh, absolutely. See, the triple threat with Roman, Seth, and Punk should be for the title and main event for Mania. I think if WWE did that, it would be better than any women's title match. Cody versus Cena and Gunther versus Jay. So then, that would be a great triple threat match for the title. But then you have to ask the question, okay, which title who are you taking the title from, and who are you putting it on, right?
Correct.
And you would have to do that really quickly. You'd almost have to book one of these guys you'd almost have to book Cody to lose it at the Elimination Chamber. I think that triple threat it's interesting, Mo, because it's going to be a really good match, but it almost feels like a wasted match. That almost feels like you have 3 guys that you I don't know what to do with you guys, so we're just going to throw you all in the same match. I think the only way that you book this match for WrestleMania is make it like a number 1 contendership match. Winner gets a title shot at the Raw after WrestleMania or the next pay-per-view. Hell, winner gets added to the WWE title match the next night.
Oh, I like that. I like that better. Winner gets added to the title match, and that becomes a triple threat.
Right. Imagine, okay, Gunther versus Jay or Cody versus Cena, and then all of a sudden you add, Roman to the mix. All of a sudden,
Wow.
Boss music's hit because Roman doesn't really lose very often in WrestleMania main events. I think you can run this triple threat, but you better add stakes. Otherwise, what are we doing here? Because at that point, take one of these guys and pair him up with Drew. Drew, Roman, Seth, Punk. If you run, I think there's 2 blood feuds to be had rather than a random triple threat. So I think the only way to make it worthwhile, let's give this a stipulation, please. And he says, take the title off of Cody.
I don't feel like I don't feel like his run is over. I think Cody's that fighting champion that he's going to be challenged a lot, pushed to the limits, but I think he finds a way. He still has a great bond with the fans. The match we just saw, which we both thought was a banger between he and KO, that was an amazing match. And that kind of physical match, that favors Kevin Owens. And Cody found a way to beat him in something that was really a strength of his. I think Cody Rhodes is establishing himself as the kind of guy that he can hold his own in any type of match. And that makes him unique. Look, no reign lasts forever. I'm sure Cody will lose at some point. I don't think it's happening. I don't think it's happening anytime soon.
You know what? I really think that, you know what I think you do with Cody? That would just be so much fun, I think. I think you turn Cody heel in the main event of WrestleMania.
Wait a minute. Do you turn him heel and he retains at WrestleMania?
Oh, not only do you turn him heel and he retains, you turn him heel against John Cena to get maximum heat. However, you know what? To make people even more mad, Mo, you have him come out like nothing happened. You try to have him be the same old, like, baby face he's always been.
Right. He's wondering why people are booing, right? He's
right.
Shot.
And I think that would just genuinely make people, like, even more mad.
If he came out and did what you just suggested, he would get that heat that Dom gets. You know what I mean? He would get that kind of hate. If Cody comes out and does it was a terrific match. Those guys fought their hearts. Like he's still Mr. Face. He's shaking hands and kissing babies. Like, I actually think that reaction, he would eat that up. Like, I think Cody Rhodes could embrace that type of heel. Look, I'm telling you, that's why you're my partner. You really, really should be writing for WWE. That's so great. Cody Rhodes turns heel maybe in the middle, near the end of the match, because it's the only way he can retain. And then he comes out on the next Raw, like, why are they upset? What's going on? Hey, guys. Like, I would love that. I'm here for that. I love, not to mention him doing that and winning it on in a shiesty way. It sets up feuds for him going down the line with the losers of that match. So yeah, I'm here for it.
Yeah, and I'm just imagine the crowd reaction even on the spot. Like, John Cena bends down to do the "you can't see me," and then Cody goes low and finishes him off.
Right.
I feel like there's a moment to be had there, and you can make the next great all-time heel, and then Cody a heel run. I think would get a lot of people talking differently about his title reign. But Gunther versus Jay versus Cody would be a fun title match too. So
that would be really fun, Damian. I agree. That would be a great match. I think Bianca would be great as a heel, but I think Cody Rhodes, if he turned heel, I think he'd have a shot to hold on to the belt as long as Roman did. Cody as a heel, because you know what happens. He becomes a heel. Eventually, he's gonna get some guy to be kind of like his / bodyguard, whatever you want to call it, and that's gonna create a little bit more drama and intrigue. Maybe he hires Jacob Fatu. That would be smart. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll say overall, there's just a lot of great stuff going on for in the WWE right now, and they can go so many different directions with it too. I think that this will be just in general a really fun WrestleMania. I know it's not looking like it right now to a lot of people. A lot of people are aren't a fan of the Money or the Royal Rumble winners. and they're real down on it right now. But I'm just gonna say this: I trust the process. I think there's time. We got time to build everything, and I think this still has the potential to be a really great WrestleMania. The challenge with a WrestleMania like this, though, Mo, really simple. How do you top what we just saw last year? And I think that's part of the problem. A lot of the time, these WrestleManias, they get compared to their predecessor. The most recent example, WrestleMania 40, is probably one of the 3 to 5 greatest WrestleManias you will ever see in your lifetime. I don't think that it will be WrestleMania 40 level good, but I think this one still has the potential to be a really, really good card. So to people like crapping on it, just trust the process, give it time. WWE and Triple H creative for the most part has been great, so I don't think they'll let us down now.
Triple H and creative are a lot better at their jobs than Daryl Morey is at his job. You can trust their process. You don't trust him. Yeah, look, I'm here for it, and I really do think you always are judged by the predecessors. What they've been really good about throughout this year is throwing us some surprises. Not everything being so anticlimactic. So I do think that you're going to be right, partner, on they're going to put a young star in a main event. I'm not saying they're going to win it, but they're going to put them in the main event. They're going to have a great showing, and it's going to elevate them. I think there will be, and there'll be a couple surprises. Look, they don't seem to be. They haven't said we're done. We're not doing anything with The Rock at all, right? But I don't think he's going to wrestle at WrestleMania. I could be wrong, but if he were, it seemed like they'd already be setting up that, and they've gone in a different direction. That doesn't mean that he can't be involved some kind of way, right? That can't mean he can't impact the outcome of a match. I just don't think he's going to be wrestling.
So I actually don't think this could kill Orton turning heel. Actually, what I think you do if you bring Orton back as a heel and Cody's a heel, just form a heel legacy duo.
You know what? That's a great one, and you could call it legacy, right?
Yeah, and I don't think that you can. And here's the thing: how many people want to boo Randy Orton after all he's been through anyway?
Nobody.
But I still think you can bring him back as a heel because he's better as a heel. And you maybe you have him and Cody team up, be the bad guys they're always meant to be. And guess what? If you need next year at WrestleMania, maybe that's when you run Randy and Cody, or at SummerSlam or the Rumble. Maybe you don't build up Randy to be a heel. Instead, you build him up to be an even bigger babyface for Cody, heel Cody down the line.
Man, Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes both being heels, and those two together, that duo, it'd become the duo you love to hate. You would hate them. And look, everybody knows Randy Orton as a heel, that's closer to him being his true self.
No, Triple H is a better owner than Jerry Jones. I mean, to be fair, I don't think there's a smart owner in Dallas right now. So
I would agree with that. Damien. I would agree with that.
No, absolutely. So, well, I have a little fun experiment for you guys, and the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view is coming up, and I was gonna do the top 5. I want to shout out some matches, but what I really put together here is what I think the 5 greatest Elimination Chamber matches are. I think I know what the 2 best matches at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view are. I think the best match we've ever seen actually just happened last year. I want to shout these out first. Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns at the Elimination Chamber was the best match you will ever see at an Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. It was absolutely terrific. And the match that's right behind that, and I think it's also a very good match, the Shields versus the Wyatts, their original match that happened between them, happened at the 2014 Elimination Chamber pay-per-view.
Wow.
This was pre-knee surgery Seth, so he could fly around the ring. Everybody was bumping like crazy. It was just an absolute war. So I think those are the 2 best matches in Elimination Chamber history. No doubt. In fact, I think it'd be fun if anybody thought what match people thought was better. I'm assuming it's Sammy and Roman, but shout out to the Shields and Wyatts because they put on a banger at the Chamber.
That's a great match. That's an all-time great match. Like I actually could go back and watch that match like right now. Shield versus the Wyatts. Woo.
No, absolutely. And the build was just super perfect for it. How they like had them going at each other, but never really fighting because they wanted to save the real big action for the actual pay-per-view itself. So just terrific building to that match. It was one of my favorite matches of all time. Favorite Chamber match of all time by far until Sammy versus Roman happened. But I thought it'd be fun, Mo. I put together my top 5 Elimination Chamber matches in WWE history. Now, mind you, I actually have 2 of them that happened in the same year. I thought there was a year where WWE really, really knocked it out of the park when it came to Elimination Chamber matches. But I'm going to start at 1 because, Mo, I feel like this is the easiest one again. And that's the first one. 2002, Shawn Michaels returned to the Elimination Chamber to win the WWE title in an absolute classic.
Triple H, Booker T. Ooh.
Yeah, it's, Mo, it's rare that we actually have, like, normally when you have a match that's a first time, people build on it and they're able to eventually, beat that original match. This is one of those few exceptions in wrestling where they kind of achieved perfection in the first match and nobody's been able to replicate it since.
Man, but the star power, Chris Jericho, man, it was live. Chris Jericho, Kane. Obviously, you just mentioned Shawn Michaels, Rob Van Dam. That was an insane amount of star power.
Yeah, and then of course Triple H, Van Dam, Kane, Jericho, Booker T, HBK, just an absolutely terrific lineup for the Elimination Chamber. And they delivered. Like I said, it's rare that the first match that somebody ever has is the best. But this is one of those few that the original was just so perfect that you couldn't really expand on it.
Agree.
Now, another one that I had. I went here the 2009 Elimination Chamber on the Raw side, and I think this one was a lot of fun. Now, this one didn't have the star power mode of 2002. We're talking about Edge, John Cena, Jericho, Kane, Rey Mysterio, Mike Knox. However, I think this one was fun because of the surprises it had. First, remember, it was originally supposed to be Kofi in this Elimination Chamber match,
right,
but Edge jumped him and took his spot before the match. And not only that, we had the champion, John Cena, get eliminated in the middle of the match. Nobody saw that coming. This is John Cena. This is Super Cena. And they absolutely took him out right in the middle. So there was guarantee of a new champion, which was won by Edge. I thought that this was an Elimination Chamber match that they did absolutely terrific with.
That was a great match. I remember when Cena got eliminated, everybody was shocked, blown away.
No, absolutely. And I was shocked too. I was like, there's no way that just happened, but all right. Now, so this next one was kind of tough, right? Because there's one on here that feels like it should be on here, but also like the one that didn't make the cut for me, by the way, the 2005 Elimination Chamber match. I think that was a fun match, but I think what made that match more memorable was what happened after the Chamber with the Edge cashing in his Money in the Bank for the first time ever. So that one barely missed the cut for me, but also I didn't put it on there because that was more made by Edge. At 3, give me, and like I said, this one was tough again, but give me the 2019 Elimination Chamber match with Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, Kofi Kingston, Randy Orton, Jeff Hardy, and Samoa Joe. And I think this one was really made by the start of Kofi Mania. Just the absolutely terrific in-ring action, Mo. And with Kofi and Bryan at the end, they had an absolutely terrific little sprint of a match that gave us a teaser to what to expect at WrestleMania and really got the fans behind Kofi, which set up that year's WrestleMania.
That was a great match. At the end, Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston put on a show. They gave you a preview of what could be, and then they delivered on that.
No, absolutely. And of course, I got at 4 shout out because this is one of my favorite wrestlers winning his first ever WWE title. I'm talking the 2017 Elimination Chamber match, which of course had Bray Wyatt winning his first ever title, Dean Ambrose, Baron Corbin, The Miz, Cena, and AJ Styles. I think this was also a terrific Elimination Chamber match. And John Cena and Bray Wyatt AJ Styles and Bray Wyatt had just a fantastic little match at the end, countering the phenomenal forearm into Sister Abigail, them all teaming up to get rid of Cena. I thought this was a really underrated yet fun Elimination Chamber match.
Yeah, I thought that, to me, Bray Wyatt was just an amazing performer. So for him to get over, to have his moment, loved it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And for my 5th best Elimination Chamber match, and I think this 4th and 5 are really, you could switch them around and I wouldn't have a problem with it. 2008, Edge versus Jeff Hardy versus Triple H versus The Undertaker versus Vladimir Kozlov versus Batista. Of course, they did the thing again where they knocked out Edge really early to guarantee a new champion. And then these guys just had an absolutely fantastic match. Say Triple H and The Undertaker had an absolutely terrific back and forth. And then, Triple H ended up walking out as champion that year, 2009. That's when The Undertaker went to face Shawn Michaels. Triple H and Randy Orton locked up. But I do think that was probably the 5th best Elimination Chamber match, at least I've ever seen.
There have been so many great ones. That's a great one. Man, you started it off with it never got better than 2002. That first one, I thought the next one wasn't shabby. I thought the 2003 Elimination Chamber was great. With Michaels, Triple H, Jericho, Randy Orton, Goldberg, Kevin Nash, I thought that was great.
The only thing that kept me from that one is I just hated how I feel like they did Goldberg so dirty at the end of that match.
They did do him dirty.
That match would have been literally, I think that's the 2nd greatest chamber match if Goldberg wins the title, but the ending was so bad that it spiraled it out of the top 5.
I got you.
If people don't believe the ending of a match can really make or break it, go watch the 2003 Elimination Chamber because it's absolutely great.
It's a great match.
Until they pull the good old-fashioned LOL Triple H wins by hitting Goldberg with a sledgehammer. Now it sounds great. Everybody's like, yeah, Triple H, awesome, terrific guy. I'd love to see him win a title. But 2003, everybody was kind of done, tired of Triple H. They started calling his title reign the Reign of Terror. They were done with Triple H winning titles in 2003. And, people wanted Goldberg. And to end it the way you did, that was just really bad at the end.
Horrible ending to an all-time great match.
Exactly. Oh, those are... Yeah. Oh, Bret Hart. Yeah. Bret Hart was probably I wish I could have been the one to hit him with the hammer.
Damien's 100% right. 100%.
Bret Hart would have came out of retirement if you told him, yeah, we're putting you over Goldberg. Yep. Nope. That's such a weird rivalry because, on one hand, they posed for a picture together before in, 2015 and then went right back to hating each other. Well, Bret Hart went back to hating Goldberg. Goldberg just doesn't really care anymore.
Bret is he's one of my favorite wrestlers all time, but he's he just can't let go of it. He's very petty about this situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Say with that being said, time really flies, man. Mo, our hour is up. So
that was a fast hour. I think because we had so much to talk about. You did a great job with the top 5 elimination chamber matches. I looked up. I swear, at one point we were at 20 something minutes, and then I looked up again. I'm like, we're here. Wow.
Right? No, absolutely. Anything you want to say before we get up on out of here?
No, just appreciate everybody for joining me and you Tuesday nights on Meaty Boyz. Appreciate Damien doing his thing in the chat. Thank you so much, my friend. Make sure you guys join us again next week, 9 p.m. Make sure you join Brett and I and one Thursday night. Got a lot to talk about. The NBA is the all-time greatest when you talk about the major sports, when you talk about drama and soap operas. Nobody does it better than the NBA.
No, absolutely. We kind of touched on this in the beginning, but to give you the quick recap, I think that WWE should consider signing Black, Starks, and even Miro. But I don't think either side should sign anybody without a definitive game plan. I would just hate to see talent hoarding with signing all these talented guys while people are just sitting in catering. Wouldn't make sense to me. So,
agreed.
It's an unfortunate part of the business, but releases do happen, and I just hope best for everybody, and I hope everything goes well for all parties involved.
I'll just add one more thing. I hate that anybody had to lose their jobs. I'm with you 100% that I hope that they all land on their feet, be it AEW, TNA, or some other promotion. I will say this. Sonya Deville losing her job, there is an upside because they're going to have to get rid of that stupid collective. So, that's cool.
Yeah, I definitely am glad that I won't have to see Pure Fusion Collective on my screen.
What a horrible name.
It's just too bad this is how it had to end.
Yeah, I
split them up.
Right. I didn't want her to lose her job, but I like the idea that we won't have to hear that name anymore.
No, absolutely. Yeah, say thank you guys for tuning in. And one on Thursday. We'll be talking more Dallas Mavericks because they refuse to shut up about this Luka trade. And we'll have plenty of other topics for you. But until then, we thank you guys for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your night.